Welcome to I Am AAPC, one of our first I Am AAPC broadcasts, and we have Cheryl DeSarno with us today. Cheryl, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I am so good, and I'm so grateful for you being on here with us and sharing your story. So for those who are new to I Am AAPC, we thought it'd be a great idea to share the stories of AAPC members, where they started from, maybe their experience with the exams and where they're going and where they hope to be. So Cheryl, would you tell us a little bit about your story? You sent me a little clip about a little bit of information about where you were. It looks like you were in the food service business before healthcare. So tell us about that.
So I was working in the food service business. I was a stay-at-home mom. My girls had all gotten in school and I kind of wanted to launch my career. And I always liked to work in the healthcare field, but I didn't want to be a nurse or phlebotomy or anything. So I looked at our school in the area. They have adult education classes that you can take at night, and they had one on medical coding and billing. So I thought, wow, I should try this. So I tried it and took my CPC test and I passed.
Did you have, well, so not everybody's up to the clinical side of healthcare. Was that you? Like, can you handle the needles and
no
things? No.
But I don't want to do it.
Yeah. Oh man. So so you took this course, and was it through AAPC or was it through another provider?
Back then it was through like an adult education program that they have in the area.
Okay.
I don't know if they had the AAPC online back then. Had they? I definitely would have taken it.
Yeah.
We have other coders here in our office that have taken the AAPC online course for the CPC exam, and they usually pass the first time.
Oh wow, that's so great to hear. Now, but you had to take your exam, your CPC exam through AAPC.
Right.
Tell us about your preparation for that and what was it like to actually take it? Was it harder than you thought? Was it easier than you thought? Tell us about that experience.
So I did a lot of studying. I bought the online exams through AAPC, so I would know what I was getting myself into, because those practice exams that we're able to buy really preps us for the CPC exam or any of the exams that we take through AAPC. And so I took a little mini course. It was like an 8-hour course through a lady up here in our area in New York that teaches us how to prep for the exam and, try not to overthink. And we kind of learned our way around the CPC book and the ICD-10 book, because that's the most important thing, is knowing your way around the book.
You mentioned you live in New York or on the East Coast.
Right.
Were you aware of a need of these positions in medical coding billing prior to taking the exam and taking that step forward?
Yeah, I had started reading about what it was and how it was coming. It started like back with the HIPAA law, because they were, sending claims out electronically, and we needed to put the diagnosis code and the procedure code. And so not anybody could just read it and know what it was. So that's how kind of coding got into what we are today.
Okay. All right. And so you take the exam, you pass the exam.
Right.
Hooray.
Yes.
And I'm sure that was a relief. We see it online all the time. Yeah. It's a great relief to pass the CPC exam. And were you able to get a job right away, after finishing your exam?
So right away, I didn't get a job in coding right away, but I wasn't going to let that get me down. So I started working. I worked in a pediatrics office for a couple of years and did like billing and reception and collection. And then I got into a small rural hospital in our area and did billing there for 3 years, and then they moved me into coding for 2. And then I moved into a bigger hospital where we have 250 providers, so way up.
Yeah. Did your CPC, did that help you in your billing,
Yes.
in your start and billing? It did. How so?
And I like it better because I know both sides of the claims. So when I do send it out, like if I see a claim come across with no insurance, I know it's very important for the billing side to try to find that or give it to the right team member that can find the insurance for the claim. So I feel like it's good to do both sides.
Okay. And you have 7 certifications through AAPC. One of them is the CPP, our billing certification. Did you work on that after you got your billing position or after?
I worked on that after I got my coding because I had a supervisor that wanted us coders to start taking more exams and learning more and so I picked the billing one. I said, oh, I should try this one.
Yeah. And how was that billing preparation for that exam? How was that compared to the CPC exam?
It was a little bit different because you're kind of learning all about the different insurances, and they're a whole different identity than coding.
Mm-hmm. Now, many prospective AAPC students and members, they wonder what's the best path to take. Do I take the CPC first? Do I take the CPB first? And we see different paths from different members. I would say the most typical path is members taking the CPC first. Do you have any suggestions for those on that discovery?
I highly suggest if you want to be a coder to start with that coding one, coding's test first.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
And then if you want to be a biller first, that would be a good one to start with too. The billing one would be good to start with.
All right. So here you are working as a biller. Eventually you get your dream job of being a coder.
Mm-hmm.
And did that job live up to what you thought it would be?
Yes.
Tell us about that experience. When you have all of this experience as a student and as a biller, but this is your first foray into actual coding. Was it a natural fit, or did it take time for you to feel comfortable there?
It was a natural fit for me. I love it. It's like I live and eat, and it's coding all the time.
Wow, that's great. And what if you were to generalize a type of individual that works as a coder, and you work with other coders now, I'm sure, and is there a personality type that you see that is a good fit for the coding positions?
A good fit for a person to be in coding is one that likes everything in its place, kind of, because it kind of all just flows together, and you've got to learn how to put all the pieces together and get it out to the insurance.
Okay, all right.
Like people who can take constructive criticism, coding is a good, because you're always going to learn something new. If you like to learn, coding is the thing to do.
Tell me a little bit about that constructive criticism, Cheryl. Like, give us some examples. So if a new coder may be curious and say, well, what kind of constructive criticism comes your way? Is it from your manager? Is it from the insurance companies? Tell us.
From your manager or other coders, and maybe we could show them how to do it a better way or a faster way that's going to help them get their work done and finished for the day.
Okay. So there's always room for improvement as a coder.
Yes.
And I guess every facility handles things a little bit differently. So there's new things to learn as you switch positions and things like that.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, we mentioned you have 7 certifications. And I would just love to understand and see how your role as a coder has evolved, because I feel like these 7 certifications show a desire to learn more, or maybe you've been put in positions that where you felt like, hey, I'm doing this now, so I want to be proficient in that and show that proficiency. So you mentioned you have the CANPC. Tell us about that. What is that certification?
Certified Anesthesia Pain Management Coder. So when I came to my bigger hospital where we have 250 providers, I was a coder too, and they put me into pain management. And this was a very, very busy office. So after I coded it for about a year, I decided to take that certification next so I could be more proficient in it. And I thought it'd be better for my career.
Okay. And do you fall back on that skill set often?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Okay. All right. And then you have the CRC, which is risk adjustment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Tell us about what led you to there.
That is, they got me into a new role where I was like, I went from coder 2 to senior coder. So I kind of wanted to get a little bit of everything under my belt, whether it be surgery, E&Ms, family med, primary care, and risk adjustment was the up and coming thing and it still is for all the Advantage Medicare programs. So, and that was one book that I had to take with me.
Oh, really?
6 books with me, but risk adjustment was one book. It was all ICD-10 coding.
Okay. All right. And then you certified in OB.
Right. They put me in to coding OBGYN. So I brought it back in-house for us because it was outsourced. So I brought it back in-house. And after coding that for about 6 or 7 months, I decided to sit for that exam too.
Okay. All right. And finally, not finally, 2 more, CEMC.
Right. That was the beast.
Oh, really? Really?
Not my favorite thing, but I was going to tackle it and I was going to pass it.
What is that? Tell us about that certification. What does the CEMC stand for?
A certified evaluation and management coder. So all providers are going to have E&M levels, whether they're surgeons or pain management or if they're internal med. Every provider has E&M office visits.
Okay. And why was that so tough?
So because you can either go by the 95 guidelines or the 97 guidelines, and you had to meet all this criteria for each level. So it can be a little bit difficult, but once you learn it, it's like secondhand.
Okay. Once you get it, you get it.
Yes.
Like riding a bike.
Right.
All right. And would you recommend, I would imagine you'd recommend that for a more experienced coder, maybe someone who's been doing this for a while?
Right. For at least a year.
Okay. All right. When would you know that that's something that you should step into?
I feel like once they've been coding E&M leveling for at least a year, they could step in and take that exam.
Okay, so that E&M leveling.
Yep, it'll prepare them for the exam.
Okay. And finally, the CPMA.
Right. Certified Professional Medical Auditing. So I do right now on my job, I do a lot of auditing, a lot of education because I educate providers on documentation, what's needed, what's not, why do I have to, we send our providers a change report. So they might wonder why do I have all these level 1 E&M, visits, and we can pull the documentation and I'll audit it. And it's because your exam is only detailed and it has to be comprehensive. So that auditing and the E&M helped me out with my career that I have now.
Okay. So your career, which is about 11 years old.
Right.
May I ask, how far into your food service career were you before you jumped into medical coding? Did you have a family at this point? Were you more established when you made this jump?
Yep.
Okay.
And next to the youngest daughter, she graduated from school the year I passed my CPC exam.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, how scary as,
Yeah.
you know, here you are, and you coming to a full stop
Mhm.
and shifting gears, taking a new path. And do you ever miss the food service business?
No,
No.
not at all.
You're happy with the choice you made.
I am.
Okay. All right.
Work, but it was so worth it.
Yes. Yes. And have you been with the same company the whole time in your healthcare career?
I started out in a private practice for 3 years with pediatrics, and then I moved to a smaller rural hospital. I was there for 5 years, and now where I'm at now at a bigger hospital, we have over 250 providers with a residency program. I've been here 5 years.
And what's your role there, Cheryl?
Coding compliance educator.
Okay.
So I might educate providers, educate new coders. I mean, it could be anything with the providers, a diagnostic, diagnosis codes, and it could just be anything that they need a question on.
So you're not doing the day-to-day coding anymore.
I have one provider that I do code for. And well, during the pandemic, everything kind of shifted for everybody. I got sent home, and I'm a people person. So that was getting used to. So I went back into coding like pain management and OB while we were in the pandemic. And we just got more people into our facility to code. So I just got them all trained. So now I'm slowly getting back into what I was doing before the pandemic hit.
So when I hear you tell me about your new role, I hear teacher.
Yes.
Or coding teacher. So in that, do you help with the hiring of new coders in your facility?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. This is a hot topic because you were there once and you know how tough it can be to get your first job. What tips do you have for coders seeking their first job after certification?
Learn their way around the book. I learn a lot more about E&M coding, which they're not going to learn until they get on the job. But just knowing their way around the book and where everything is located is a big help.
Okay.
And knowing their ICD-10 guidelines is a great help too.
Okay. What makes a CPCA stand out in a stack of resumes and may lead you to hire someone brand new?
Well, we have them do a small little test to see where they stand. So, and we do ask them, what's this modifier for, like a modifier 25, when would you use that? Simple questions that a new coder should be able to answer.
Okay. So do you have all of these future AAPC examinees listening to this thinking, another exam?
It's a small one, I promise.
Small one, okay, all right.
We even had a couple coders that we brought in that were not certified, but they had sat through the class, or they were going to sit through the AAPC course. And we've had 3 of them, and they passed the test the first time.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. So they passed.
So here in our area, we wanted to bring all the coding in-house. So in order to do that, we can't just hire a coder that's got 2 years experience. We need to do some training. We need to get this program up and running.
Okay. So in your facility, regardless if you have 5 or 10 years of experience or you're a new coder, you're still going to go through Cheryl's training and learn your facility system.
Right. Or we have 2 other senior coders that help train too.
Okay. All right.
There's 3 of us.
Wow. Okay, great. So, you have your 7 AAPC certifications. You've been a member for 11 years. What's next for Cheryl?
What is next is either general surgery. I kind of want to do more surgical coding and get into that side of it.
Wow.
I'm really seriously thinking about taking that one next.
We talked about this before we started recording, just how you have a passion for learning.
Mhm. I love to learn.
Yeah.
This career, you will learn every day.
Yeah.
That's been the great thing.
Oh, good. Now, it sounds like you're involved with AAPC local chapters.
Yes, I'm the president for the Corning chapter of Coders. So that's been new for us to do everything Zoom, but the members seem to like it. And I feel
Oh,
like we have more people coming than when we did the in-person.
okay. Oh, that's
Yeah.
great to hear. That's great to hear. And I bet you, I think we have the intent of having some virtual aspect with local chapters going forward. The world has changed.
Yes, it's definitely changed.
Is this your first role as a local chapter officer?
No, a couple of years ago, I was vice president.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it can be time consuming. I know local chapters have requirements to host exams several times a year.
Right.
So my question to you, Cheryl, is why do you do it?
Because I want to help other coders succeed in their career. It's my
Okay,
passion.
awesome.
All my
Do
kids
you,
are grown, so
yeah, yeah. So you've got these new kids, but they're
yes,
coding kids.
right.
Oh, wonderful. And do you have many new coders that attend your meetings?
We just found there is a class going on right now, and I talked my best friend into taking it because she was in phlebotomy. She's been a phlebotomist for 8 years, and she teaches it. But I'm like, you really should get into coding. And she's like, all these years, she's like, I could never do what you do. But now she's taking the course and she's loving it.
Oh, good.
So she comes over like every other week, and I sit with her and kind of show her around the books, find a
Yes.
way around.
Tell us, do you think networking at chapter meetings is helpful for new coders? Let's say someone, you're a student, the students watching this. Is it valuable for them to sit in on their local chapter meetings? And have you ever found employees through chapters?
Yes, we've found employees through chapters because we can make announcements. Oh, hey, this doctor's office, or this hospital's, hiring, and we have found a couple of our coders here where I'm at through the meetings. It's a great place to network. It's a great place to meet other coders. If you want to reach out to, maybe they have maybe you're struggling in the cardiovascular system and you'd like to have some extra help. A lot of times these coders would be glad to help a new coder out to help them understand things before they take the CPC exam.
Oh, great, great. Just a good resource to guide you along in your studies or in preparing for your first job.
Right.
All of that. And just thinking about that, Cheryl, you mentioned with COVID, I think most of us were sent home to work, and there's so many coders that are looking for at-home positions, but you're the opposite. You like to be around everybody in the office.
Yep. Yeah, it was a shock for me to go home. I was like, oh no. I see where we can get more done at home, but if you're a coder, you can get more done. Or we found that our billers here in the office have gotten more done at home than they did in the office because there's always going to be somebody asking you questions or interruptions. And we have found that it worked great for us.
Okay. And I know that comes up a lot as far as working from home in our Facebook group. And I think there are individuals who are hoping to get their first job as an at-home coder. That's typically not the case. I think more often than not, you'd like to see a year or two of experience before sending them home.
Right, because we were starting that program here because we had a lot of coders that were like an hour and a half away, and they were driving in every day. And so we were just getting that program started, and we had like 7 or 8 of our coders working from home, and they had to come in 1 day a week. And then COVID hit 2 months later, and everybody was sent home.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Have you had to do much hiring during the pandemic?
We had to lay off a couple, but then we called them back.
Okay.
And then we probably hired like 2 or 3 more. Because we
Okay.
want to keep things in-house.
Yes, things have picked back up, it seems,
Right.
and hopefully that just continues.
Yes.
All right. Well, Cheryl, you've shared so much great information. It's awesome to hear your story as someone. I don't want to. You look very young, so I don't want to say midlife, but yeah, but someone who had an established career and a family.
Right.
And then you just came to, a full stop, said, I want to try this medical coding out. And here you are 11 years later, 7 certifications, and just who knows where it will lead now.
It's the best decision I ever made.
Wow.
I love my career.
Wow.
Really.
Do you have any advice for someone who may be thinking about this path?
If they're thinking about it and they're not quite sure, they could probably reach out to the chapter members, in their area, and like network with other coders and ask them, what's the ins and outs of your job? Is this something that I really want to do? What's going to help me in my career?
Okay. Yeah, get a feel from it from working professionals who do it and can guide you through it. I know when you seek to understand it on your own, it could be a little bit daunting.
Right.
But speaking to someone in your area would, that's a great piece of advice, just to make that connection. And you can find your local chapter on the AAPC website. Just go to aapc.com and look for your local chapter. You can search that there. All right. Well, I'm just looking to see if we missed anything here. Did I miss any key points in your career, Cheryl, that we should review?
I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah. I think we got it. So, well, Cheryl, thank you so much. And I appreciate you taking the time for sharing your story with the AAPC members and future members. And you have a great day.
Thank you, you too.